Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another early episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. A few things before we get started today. As always, folks, if you would like to follow along, you are able to find the document we are going over today in the description box, as well as the petition to shut down the Judge Rotenberg Center. If you haven't already signed it, please do, and please absolutely share it on all your social media. Also, some of the things we discuss when we are going over the JRC is very dark. There's very vivid descriptions of torture and the abuse of people with disabilities. So if you have young children in the room when you are watching these videos, please put on your headphones. Also, if I struggle over any scientific words or jargon, or if I happen to stumble over my words like that there, I do apologize in advance, and I know that it is absolutely worse in the morning. Also, please stay tuned. I will be doing a video directly after this in which I will be covering a development in regards to Adam Waldman's removal from Twitter. So stay posted for that. And I have an announcement that will also be on that video. So again, please stay tuned. So without further ado, we are going to start where we left off yesterday, which is 5.3.4.2, DDS response to public testimony. This was done back on July the 7th of July the 20th, through July the 21st, 2011, and written comments. Trigger warning for all my fellow neurodiverse out there. The terms that they use and some of the views that are shown throughout the entirety of this document belongs to those who created this document. They are extremely outdated and extremely ableist. So, just a warning ahead of time. Okay. Also, and written comments 10/14/11. DDS Commissioner Elin Howe wrote a report responding to the public written and oral testimony, as well as a review of the research, opinions of subject matter experts, and positions taken by various organizations and associations. The report concluded the current standard of care for individuals with intellectual disability for the most severe behavioral challenges is positive behavior intervention and does not include aversive interventions or punishment. It was noted that there has been an evolution in the treatment of severe behavioral disturbances in persons with intellectual disability over the past 30 years, and particularly in the last 2 decades, which has moved towards forms of treatment that are non-aversive and involve positive behavioral supports. As a result, DDS published a proposed amendment to prohibit the use of Level 3 behavioral interventions, including ESDs, again, that's the acronym for electric skin shock devices, for aversive conditioning. As a result, DDS published a proposed amendment to prohibit the use of Level 3 interventions, including ESDs, for aversive conditioning. They did 2 sentences twice. I think we read this last one yesterday, but it never hurts to review, so I'll go ahead and reread it again anyways. I'm not awake, can you tell? This 3 a.m. crap's killing me. Is it Friday yet? The opinion was based both on the body of empirical evidence showing the effectiveness of other less intrusive forms of treatment that do not involve pain, on the overwhelming support of this position by virtually every local, statewide, or national organization supporting individuals with intellectual disability, and by providers and clinicians whose practice demonstrates that non-aversive treatment can modify difficult or dangerous behaviors effectively and for long-term, while aversive interventions, in addition to causing pain and anxiety in such individuals, have no long-term efficacy. So pretty much all of what we're reading right now on repeat. No wonder internally I wanted to repeat it again. The report stated that a review of over 49 states, not including Massachusetts and the District of Columbia, indicates that 21 states specifically ban or prohibit aversive interventions through statutes, regulation, or policy. Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Connecticut, District of Columbia, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, and Washington. Like we said yesterday, but I just wanted to add one because it just clicked on my radar this morning. When Arkansas and Missouri are beating you when it comes to treatment ethics, reevaluate everything you are doing with your life. Just saying. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next part here. That's 5.3.5. Complaints made to Massachusetts Disabled Persons Protection Committee. FDA reviewed complaints regarding the ESD used for aversive conditioning made to Massachusetts Disabled Persons Protection Committee from August 30th, 1993 to July 28, 2013. Of 53 complaints, 18 were screened out by the DPPC as not meeting complaint criteria, and 22 were found to be substantiated. The remainder, some with multiple AEs reported, included burns and tissue injury, 6 reports. Inappropriate device use, 3 reports. Negative emotional reactions, 3 reports. 1 PTSD, 1 report. So that's pretty disturbing, folks. When you've got those complaints coming in all the way back in 1993. Remember, I mentioned some of us have actually been fighting since 1993, before the Andre McCollum's incident. That's insane. Basically, what happened, folks, is Andre McCollum's case forced these people to look. It was drug out into the spotlight where people were forced to pay attention. They should still be paying attention. But anyways. Moving on. Next section, 5.3.6, reviews, letters, and reports submitted to the FDA from other sources. The FDA received reviews and reports from several sources, 2010 through 2013. The information is summarized below. 5.3.6.1, FDA meetings with the National Council on Disability, Disability Rights International, the National Disability Rights Network, and the ARC, and with the National Leadership Consortium on Developmental Disabilities, NLCDD, on April the 16th, 2013. The National Council on Disability requested a meeting with FDA to discuss the FDA's role in assessing the use of aversive devices by the JRC, provide related information based on the work the NCD has conducted on issues affecting people with disabilities. On May 22, 2013, representatives from NCD, DRI, NDRN, and the ARC met with representatives from FDA's Office of Chief Counsel and CDRH's Office of Center Director and Office of Compliance. These groups expressed concerns regarding the harmful physical and psychological effects they believe the GED devices have on patients at the JRC, which they believe to be underreported due to the impact these patients' disabilities have on their ability to communicate. So, NCD, guys, just as a reminder, and we did read their letter to the FDA in order to request this exact meeting here. They are a federal bureau, okay? They are part of the federal government. So, this is when you have a literal federal agency and they are still getting stonewalled. Something's real fishy and not right there. A civilian non-for-profit should not be able to stall the ball to the point that you have a national organization beating its head against the wall. I mean, it happens a lot, but it shouldn't. Moving on. Excuse me. I have to get a cough drop. Excuse me if I look like a chipmunk for the rest of this video. It's a thing. Again, is it Friday yet? Okay. Back to what we were doing. Representatives of the NLCDD requested a meeting with the CDRH to discuss ESDs for the aversive conditioning as used at the JRC. This meeting took place on April 16, 2013. Prior to the meeting, the NLCDD provided written information to the FDA March 26, 2010. The NLCDD representatives indicated that the GED in use at the JRC is modified from the FDA-cleared GED device, and that use has been expanded from the cleared application. They reported that the GED-4 has a greater peak current than the GED, and repeated applications of the device over a short period of time are administered by the JRC, which increase the occurrence of adverse events such as burns. At the FDA meeting held on April 16, 2013, the NLCDD reported the following. ESDs for aversive conditioning are banned in most states. They are aware of at least 4 cases reports of psychological trauma and PTSD symptoms and alternative treatments. Positive environmental and reinforcement strategies have been developed and are currently effective for severe and refractory self-injury. 5.3.6.2 Letter to Margaret Hamburg regarding JRC, February 12, 2013. Representatives of the disability and human rights community sent a letter dated back to February 12, 2013 to FDA Commissioner Margaret Hamburg regarding the use of contingent skin shock and other aversive interventions. Among other things, the letter stated that ESDs for use of contingent electric shock and other aversive interventions. Among other things, the letter stated that ESDs for use in behavior modification are inherently unsafe and that there are other demonstrative alternative treatments for patient populations being treated with these devices. 5.3.6.3 Mental Disability Rights International MDRI report. Torture, not treatment. Electric shock and long-term restraint in the United States on children with adults with disabilities at the Judge Rotenberg Center, 2010. In 2010, MDRI, an international human rights group, published a report regarding what they believed to be human rights abuses of children and young adults with mental disabilities residing at a facility that employs ESDs for aversive conditioning, JRC in Canton, Massachusetts. The report was an urgent appeal to the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment of punishment, It requested that the special rapporteur initiate an inquiry into the abusive practice perpetrated against the residents of the JRC and licensed by the state of Massachusetts. MDRI contended that the severe pain and suffering perpetuated against children and adults with disabilities at the JRC violates the UN Convention Against Torture. In the report, they provide information on the risks associated with the use of the GED for aversive conditioning at the JRC. Facility employees reported the level of pain experienced is significant. Facility employees noted the occurrence of tremor, burns, and tissue injury. Facility employees noted fear and other negative emotional and behavioral reactions. An independent report raised the potential risk of psychological trauma, marginalization, or alienation, and the mother of a patient witnessed pain, fear, negative emotional reactions in individuals receiving the treatment. The UN Special Rapporteur on Torture wrote a letter dated June the 11th, 2012, to the United States Department of State concerning the treatment suffered by the children and young adults enrolled in the residential program of the Judge Rotenberg Center. The U.S. Department of State responded that the legislative measures in Massachusetts will lead to the eventual prohibition of the aversive therapy practices in Massachusetts. And New York has indicated by June of 2014, all New York residents at JRC, including those who remain subject to court-approved aversive interventions, will be offered placements in New York State where such interventions are not authorized. JRC's Executive Director and GED developer, Matthew Israel, PhD, responded to the MDRI's report for JRC. The JRC report concludes that the behavioral skin shock saves individuals with severe behavior disorders from a life of seclusion, restraint, and/or warehousing, as well as the ravages of psychotropic medication. Yeah, you're a monster. And nobody knows how you have a PhD. You're a monster, sir. You torture because you like it. Just admit it. A follow-up investigation was initiated by a second UN Special Rapporteur on Torture in 2012. The report called for an absolute ban on all coercive and non-consensual measures, including electroshock procedures. In addendum, the Special Rapporteur determined that the rights of the students of the JRC subjected to Level 3 aversive interventions by means of electroshock and physical means of restraints has been violated under the UN Convention Against Torture. So, folks, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I have quite a few things to do this morning. And I've got, of course, that other video to talk about. But you see it here, folks. Literally, you've got national federal agencies. You have the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture. You have international human rights and disability rights groups around the world. You have international autism rights, international parent groups. You have some groups that generally can't agree on anything ever, period, coming together for this one ban. And still, it's still happening. And what's worse, a lot of these organizations and the people who came together for this and pushed for it, I wonder how many are aware that after the ban was issued, that due to COVID, it's still happening, and that the JRC, being sneaky little bastards, are trying to enter in that back door and appeal that decision. That's why we got to make as many people aware of the fact that this is still going on in spite of the ban of March 2020 as we possibly can. The fight is not over. We should have never, ever relaxed our guard. Got to keep an eye on these people, folks. We should have known. I mean, these people are shifty. They look for any loophole they can to continue this torture. So, yeah, I'm not going to be so gullible next time around. I'm going to keep an eye on it long after they keep it enforced to make sure it stays enforced. Okay. That being said, this covers the video for right now. Again, this will be followed in a few minutes by another video. In the meantime, folks, we don't get very many views on this channel, especially for this subject, unfortunately. So please, folks, it's very important to feed the algorithm. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments, and please share on all your social media. Go all the way back in these videos to Stop the Shocks campaign reignites. Share every single video on this subject that we have done on this channel. Share every single video on it that you see by just searching the Judge Rotenberg Center on YouTube. We need to get this out there that this is still going on. I do appreciate your time this morning, and I will see you in a few minutes. Bye-bye.